Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Startup Podcast. Today we have our special guest, Great Henken. She is the anti-obedient, reactive, and fearful dog training expert and the founder of Mensa Mutts. She works with dog owners who have tried everything but are still struggling to communicate with their shy, fearful, and reactive dogs. So welcome, Grace.
Awesome. Great to be here.
So could you introduce yourself again to our audience?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Beijing, China. So I've been in the United States for a little over 10 years. And I came here to pursue a master degree in statistics. And after graduation, I worked for several years, random jobs, corporations, stuff like that. And then after I actually negotiated a 15% raise in my last job, and I actually quit a month later to become a dog trainer.
Okay.
And that's kind of how my journey started. Um, so yeah, that's where I'm at now, and I happen to got to meet you and got join your show.
So how you got into the dog trainer in this industry?
Yeah, it's kind of like a long backstory in a sense. So I grew up in China. Like one of the thing is that dog training is kind of a secret. Like you get a dog, you don't actually go to a training school. Like you've
Yeah.
never heard of like training school, right? Like so you just try to figure it out yourself. And there's a couple of my neighbors have really well behaved dogs. When you ask them, oh, how you train your dog, they just give you a smile like, nah, I can't tell you the secret, right? That sort of thing. So at a very young age, I was like, one day I'll figure this out, right? But obviously that's kind of in the back of my head. And all those years passed. Me and my husband finally decided we're gonna adopt a dog. And then we get to adopt a dog from Taiwan. They actually have rescue Taiwan street dogs. They called Formosa mountain dogs, and the dogs are actually born on the street, so they're feral. They're not exactly like people abandoned them or anything like that. So they will actually flew the dog in from Taiwan to the States. So I actually pick up my dog from the San Francisco airport the
Okay.
day he arrived. So that's kind of how I got this dog. And they really don't give you a lot of background of the dog, right?
Mhm.
You know very little about what this dog temperament looked like. And a lot of the information they shared actually could be very misleading. And they were actually extremely hard to train dogs because they're actually very fearful and reactive. A lot of them like growling, barking nonstop. And I have a couple clients' dog that their dog have beaten multiple people or other dogs. And those kind of in the common scenario, like they're not even surprise me anymore, right? So after I got my personal dog, that's really, I think I started really diving into more training side of it. I want to train my dog. I don't want him have bad problems, right? Then I got in the obedience training. I got my dog really like super obedience, right? Like kind of follow commands. Like you almost like look like those military dogs, right? Can perform and look nice. And then I got kind of heavily involved with the rescue at that point. So I start actually co-hosting dog training classes. And that's kind of how I got to start getting into the training side of it. And then over the couple of years I was doing that, I realized a lot of dog owners who have been like gone through the training I have gone through, their dogs still have very just crazy behavior issues. It's like they did the training but didn't work. And that's when I really like start looking kind of look the other way, like, hey, what I did differently, how I can help those people with their dogs. And that's when I start looking into like beyond obedience. So now in my training I actually tell people I don't teach obedience because
Mhm.
obedience itself actually doesn't fix behavior problems. So I start focusing on more of how to relax a dog. I said the dog's behavior is a reflection of their minds. So we want to fix behavior problems. We want to relax their mind, to change their mind in order to change behaviors. And that's when I kind of start having my own, methodologies and stuff. And I followed more than several different trainers, I guess, to kind
Okay.
of pick what their thing could work, what their things like not working. And I kind of cultivate this training system, like become extremely effective to dogs that very reactive caused by fear. So that's where I'm kind of how the company goes. And I'm also kind of the expert in training Taiwan dogs. Majority of my clients heard my name from different Taiwan dog group because they're like, my dog's so crazy, and people are like, go reach out to Grace because she's really specialized in Taiwan dogs. That's really how it started. Yeah.
So normally, what the problem that the dog facing that we need to train them?
Part of it is when we talk about fearful in dogs, a lot of people don't realize, right? If you have a dog or if you walk on the street, you see those dogs like barking at everything,
Yes.
like pulling leash super hard, and they just bark.
Mm.
A lot of people think that either that's just how their dog be, right? They're like, oh, that's just dog be dogs, right? Or they might be like, oh, my dog's dominant, right? My dog just want to protect me, right? However, majority of those behaviors actually means the dog's actually fearful. And those reactivity is just kind of a symptom to reflect on their own fearfulness. I use one of the example a lot is about bullying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kids who bullying other kids not because they're big and strong. It's actually because their lack of confidence and usually suffering some emotional trauma themselves. A lot of them, such as from broken home, or maybe they're being physical abused at home. And then they come out to school, they try to bully other kids as a way of let those anger out, right? So our dogs are almost like that. They have these pent up emotions that they don't know how to deal with it. And then they come out as reactive and aggressive and biting, right? So in obedience training, what people tend to do is tell the dog what to do. Say, oh, you have to sit, you have to down, right? Then you can't bark at the other dog. However, in my training, I kind of switch that. I said, you can't always tell your dog what to do. That's not realistic. If in terms, I want to say, we want to build your dog's confidence. We want to teach your dog how to face their own emotions. Say you're as a human, like say, oh, I was hurt before, so now I'm kind of like reacting to certain things. I say I lost trust in people because my friend betrayed me, right? I can never have friends again. So how we can solve that problem? It's not to say you can never have friend again, but really to like how you can open up to be trust other people again. So that's kind of my training process. Try to teach a dog, okay, you can handle this. Those are things. It's not stressful. I can help you to feel more comfortable with your life. Especially, I think the more difficult part is I mentioned they're feral dogs. And when they come to the United States, they live in the city. They like never see that many cars before. They never see people, they just everybody want to say hi to you, right? That's a very different environment. And for Taiwan dogs, I constantly tell my clients, you understand a lot of them are not really suitable or born for city livings, and how we can kind of like to make them start be more comfortable that this is a new environment you kind of have to get used to, and it's not the wild mountain you can just run around and do whatever you want
Yes.
anymore. So I hope that kind of give you an idea and give your audience an idea on what I do.
So it is different stage that you need to train the dog, and what is the period or the timing to train the dog?
So part of it, obviously, like you never know till you see the dog, right? Every dog starts a different stage.
Yes.
Also, I think it's heavily like rely on when people talk about dog training, people usually not pay attention too much on how heavily the role the dog owners actually are playing.
Mhm.
A dog's improvement is heavily relying on what the dog owner is willing to do, right? So I do primarily private training, because I tell my dog owners, like, if you want to help your dog, you have to learn how to do it. I used to do what we call board and train. It's very popular in the United States that the dog trainer will take your dog in for like 3-4 weeks and then return the dog back to you. I used to do that, and it can be looking really nice to the dog. The dog's like, oh my gosh, like brand new dog, right? By the same time, I return that dog to home, the owner can't do anything. The owner not knowing what to do, right? So those results become not long lasting, or at least I'm not happy with the result. I want my dog owner able to achieve their dog's lifetime improvement, the success, right? So now I kind of teach that. I said, you have to train your dog. You have to learn how to train your dog, because I can make your dog do a lot of things. But if you can't, it doesn't really matter, right? So that's kind of like, and how long that time is gonna come, it's like how much work the dog owner willing to do, how in tune the dog owner like can get the training, because it's a learning curve, right? So some of my clients can get it really fast. Some of my clients take a little longer time. And then also depends on where the dog's at. Some dogs kind of what we define like easier dog, right? They're like, oh, they get it fast. And then the one that bite people all the time, obviously that probably gonna take a little longer, and in order to get its improvement. Yeah.
So let's say the owner is stop training the dog, the behavior will be coming back again, or will still
Yeah,
maintain?
I love that question, because in my line of work, the reason I'm so in tune with my training is that we're teaching the dog to relax themselves. And it's a skill that they're going to gain themselves. And so that's the benefit of that, especially compared to obedience training, is the owner do not have to always prompt the dog. The dog actually earning that skill themselves. And what I say is they know how to make a choice that's more towards our favor. So we don't have to tell dog what to do. And they know, oh, I used to lunging and barking. But after training, like, well, I don't have to do that. I can actually come back to owner and ask for a piece of food. So that's no longer as much like, oh, you have to sit, you have to down, right? Then the owner constantly get too involved. So to answer your question, if you, in a sense, in an ideal situation, the owner doesn't have to do anything. The dog should not experience regression. Now, obviously, their time, what I call my owner and dogs experience what I call the setbacks. Like I have a client, I've been really successful for several years now and doing really well. And then they're walking on the street, somebody throw trash at the dog. And that's, it's kind of like experience setback dog, like, whoa, and got really scared and scared of going outside for several weeks. So now we kind of have to backtrack a little bit. Okay, how we help the dog to recover from that. So that would be something like what I call like shit just happens, right? Like you can't,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't know, and that could set your dog back. Depends on your dog. What we also call like similar using human terms. Some dogs are a little more weak nerved, then they get triggered easier, and some dog more strong nerved, they get scared for a day, second day they're fine, right? So
Yes.
that's obviously. And then the good thing about training using kind of what I teach is that the owner have a set of tools like what I call go back to foundations. So no matter where you're at in your training journey, if you experience setbacks or like, oh my gosh, I feel I forgot what my dog's doing or my dog's not getting better, we can always what I call go back to foundation. There's a set of exercise that I teach my dog owner to do. I said, so what happened, you know what to do next. And then you can progress again from there. Instead of being a lot of obedience training that they always say, oh, I just need to more harsh on the dog. I just need to tell him sit faster and longer and tell him to have to do that. So you go in like kind of like get too extreme on those. I actually have a clients have been doing obedience training for years and experienced success. Recently, I actually enrolled my training because she said things just getting worse and anything she tried to stop working.
Mhm.
I said, because you're getting too extreme on what you have been told. You're like forgot what your dog actually needs. So now I kind of like tell her to back up from what you have been doing and then let's try something different. So, and she's surprised with certain exercise I taught her is so hard for her dog. Well, she said, my dog can do down stay, but if you just teach my dog to just lay there, relax, my dog couldn't do it. I said, yep, because it's different. When you tell your dog to do a thing, they know to listen to you. Now, when I tell the dog, like, I'm not going to tell you anything, but I'm asking you to just relax on your own, it's actually really hard for them. It's almost like they expecting you to tell them what to do because they don't know what to do. I said, you have to teach your dog, you need to know yourself because that's where the skill really being gained over time.
Okay. So let's say the dog have been trained, then now the dog is company with another new dog. Let's say the owner adapt the new dog. So will be effect for the new dog or the old dog?
Could you rephrase your question?
Let's say the new owner adopt the new dog,
Mhm.
and then the new dog. So they mean that the owner need to train the new dog again.
Yeah. So do you mean that they already gone through training and they got another dog?
Yes, correct.
And yeah, so so obviously that depends on where the dog owners experience, right? It's an interesting thing that a lot of people who have gone through training with their first dog, they did really hard work to train their first dog. And then when they get the second dog, they feel that they knew everything. So, but the reality is that from my experience, the owner usually kind of slacking on training when they get the second dog because they're like, oh, I know what to do. It will be fine, right? And that could be, if you get a second dog, it's easy, everything's fine, and sometimes backfire because the new components, not just you have a new dog, but you have two dogs now. And that's a relationship on its own. I have multiple clients, not clients, but multiple dog owners reach out to me recently about in-house dog fight. They have one dog, one of the family have three dogs, one of their dog just killed the other dog. And then they reach out to me, right? So you might think, well, my first dog's fine. What happened, right? And maybe your training is good, but you didn't fix the relationship between the dogs either, right? So that could be, it's really kind of case by case scenario, like where you experience that and what type of dog you're getting, and are you ready to get the second dog? A lot of people, I think they feel they get second dog to have a friend for their first dog.
Yes.
And for me, that's really not a great idea. That shouldn't be the right reason to get another dog, because their thought is like they will be friends, so I don't have to take care of them. But that usually backfire because both dogs are gonna need you to take care of them, and then you have double the trouble.
Okay. 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 So let's say in circumstances change the owner, that means the new owner need to retrain the dog again, right?
Um, if they have gone my training before, I wouldn't say they need to retrain the dog. They can always kind of like, what do I call, again, back to the foundation. They can totally do it on their own. And maybe from time to time, what I call a refresher course, just kind of give them an idea or direction where they should go. Now, I have a lot of clients that have gone through 3-4 trainers before me. And then they reach out to me. It's like, wow, I've done so many training and none of them worked. What should I do? In that scenario, sometimes it's hard in terms of, if I have some dog owner have gone through 6 trainers before, and then they reach out to me. Usually I would ask why none of those worked, right? Even though they don't teach everything I teach, but at least you should pick something. It's like I share with them, I said, you should have all the components. But what exactly happened? A lot of those could be a red flag to me. It's the owner not doing the work. Like they just they want some sort of quick fix. And so they've paid one trainer after another trainer, but they didn't put any work in. Now, there are also other scenarios. I have a really great client right now. She had 3 trainers before me. She did all the work, word by word, how the trainer taught her. And her dog only getting worse. That's when she come to me. She's like, Grace, I've tried the things. I've did my work. My dog's getting worse. Now, can you show me how you do it? Then I would know, okay, I'm going to tell you one of the hardest thing to share with my clients who have gone through training is I have to tell them, forget everything your other trainer told you, because I almost going to teach you everything the opposite. And so that will be a scenario as well. Yeah.
Okay. So recently, because now it's sometimes we lockdown, right? So for the training, will it be able to through the virtual training to the owner, or must be physical to the training with the dog together?
Oh, so during, well, do you guys also on lockdown as well?
Partially, yes.
Yeah. So for us, all my training right now actually virtually. So it's like what we do right now. It's very interesting. I have people reach out to me. They insist they want to do in-person training because it's like a conventional thinking. You have to see me to see my dog, see me, and know what to do.
Yes.
One of my clients actually attended one of my virtual workshops. She said she's surprised that how much things she can learn and work with the dog without me actually seeing her dog. Because again, it's me teaching the owner what to do, have nothing really to do with their dogs, right? Their dog doesn't have to be even been there per se at the beginning of the training, because I need to teach the owner what are some things they need to learn first. And the other thing I pointed out is that if you have a very fearful dog, which several of my clients have already experienced the kind of a backfire, what happened is they took the dog to an in-person training. Because the dog already so stressed out, now you go to an in-person training, everybody may wear masks and actually make the dog more scared and more reactive, and actually kind of like not improving the training results because your dog is freaking out. They can't actually learn anymore. A couple of my clients actually canceled their other in-person trainings because they're like, it's just getting really stressful to the dog. And so in that term of saying, I'd say right now, virtual training is definitely the way to go. And there's certainly things I tell my clients it's hard when we're not seeing each other, because sometimes I also believe the dog's energy and the owner's energy together, and I can't feel those when we're on the call. I said, but I have really great clients. I said, we finish all the foundations online, and once we're open up, and we're not gonna do in-person training kind of to make up the rest. So yeah.
Okay. So before our end of our interview session, anything that you want to share with our audience that for those have the just have the new dogs, adopt the new dog?
Yeah, start training early. I see many people wait way too long, because in dog adoption, a lot of people adopting dog now. It's probably similar in your place. In US, it's like crazy right now. Shelters are empty. People stay home. They want a dog, and they usually regret a couple months later, realize, oh my gosh, what I got myself into, right? And it's actually what we call the honeymoon period. Most people who adopt new dog will have a honeymoon period. That depends on the dog, lasts from several weeks to a couple months. And then you start seeing dogs' behavior start to change. The devil dogs start coming out. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's not the dog I adopted. So to anybody listening, if you get a new dog or plan to get a new dog, start training right away. Do not wait for the honeymoon period to pass. We want to keep that honeymoon period as long as possible. And actually, if we don't have to get out that honeymoon period, it will be the best. I hope that's a, advice to your audience.
I know that your website you also have got the free ebook to guideline to how to train the dog, right? So
Yeah.
for yes.
Yeah, so if anybody interested, go to mensa-mutts.com. That's mensa-mutts.com, and you can download a free report. I talk about debunking like 2 biggest dog industry norms and 3 things can help you with your dog. And then you will also actually get 24 days emails called 24 days to a new dog. So I will send you email every day for 24 days to tell you what you can do, and a wild range of information there. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So for those who interested who adopt the dog, so can go to the website to check out the more information. Okay, one more last question I normally will ask my guests is, let's say you have one superpower, what superpower you want and why?
Oh my gosh. Sometimes I think about that too. I think I would be like invisible. Sometimes it's just like, oh my gosh, I want to be just chill. If I can just like lay back and I'm not there, right? Sometimes, that probably my power. Like I'll just be like, I have my own time and nobody gonna bother me, you know?
Oh, great. All right, great. Yeah. So, okay, thank you for your time today. So, really very great that you have become my guest to share with my audience. Yeah, hope to see you in the near future again.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Thank you.